This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, Jim. Morning, Peter. I've got myself a couple of Dave Berry mugs
Have you?
this morning.
Did you indeed?
Brand new?
Brand new. Well, who knows? They might. I don't care if they weren't
Were
brand
they
new.
gifts from DB?
I'm happy to drink after the Berry men.
I tell
Dave
you,
Berry and his Berry men.
So,
There's a woman as well, but I'm using the word man.
yeah.
there's
like
a
Mary
woman
Poppins,
as well.
Yeah.
Kath will be pleased about that because she's a big DB fan.
Oh, well, it's on. We have it on every morning.
I do as well.
And I still haven't completely worked out the quiz.
Really?
Yeah.
We're doing this again, are we?
Yeah, anyway, no, it's all right. We don't have to, we can't do it again. It's the no repeat guarantee.
Oh,
We can't. I don't think we can repeat. We've been on 11 years. I think we have to avoid discussing the same concepts.
Oh, God, hang on. Let me get a pen.
Oh, no.
No, I'm sure we have. Texting this morning your favourite thing about 2020.
Oh, God.
Mark,
I think it's a year that's going to get a lot of stick in the reviews of the year. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
lovely to have a really positive
Yeah.
one? I mean, West Brom got promotion. That's how I'll remember
There
this
you
year.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Every cloud.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Mark Cotterell, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
I like contributions like this. He simply says, I remember where I was when I heard the ballet link. It's up there with Kennedy.
For any uninitiated, we did... this show is a series. I mean, I'm always reaching for the
It's a
stars.
series.
And when you reach for the stars, sometimes you fall flat on your face,
Yeah.
There are radio shows, and not on this station,
No.
but who are happy with the straight to flat line across.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always trying to soar like a mighty comedy eagle.
Yeah.
That can go so wrong. And the ballet link was, I'd say one day I'll listen to it again, but that would be a mistake. I remember I went back and watched Man with Two Brains again, believing it to be the greatest comedy film of all time. And I wasn't partial.
No.
So
No, but you might
So we
get
did this
pleasantly
link.
surprised by the ballet link.
we did a
It's
link.
years
yeah.
ago now.
I haven't been pleasantly surprised since, I think, 91.
Oh, dear.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I haven't been surprised, but pleasantly is a very, very distinct.
we did the ballet link, and it was awful.
It didn't work.
I think it
Simple
was
as
just
that.
boring, wasn't it?
It was boring. I tell you what it
I think that
was.
was your problem with it. I don't think it was that any jokes particularly misfired. I just
No.
think that there wasn't enough of them.
Yeah, I think
It
people.
wasn't very funny, Frank.
We had about 20 texts saying, "I think you're accidentally broadcasting Virgin." But I wouldn't say we've never looked back. I'd say
No.
I'm not a comic who doesn't always have one eye on the rearview mirror of my miserable failures. But some of them, as we know, did fall on stony ground. Even the great sower finds that. So it's fine. By the way, while you're on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it still possible to ask Jeeves?
That's a good question.
It feels very 90s.
But I'm inclined to ask him. I was always, when I first asked Jeeves, I remember being gutted that the answer didn't end with sir. I mean, if you're going to be Jeeves,
Yeah, you
the
started
little
this.
image had him with a tray. I mean, go with it. Don't half be Jeeves.
And not just sir. I want a very good sir
Yeah,
in there.
something of
Certainly,
that
sir.
nature. I'd got me monocle on, me +4s, all ready for his response. And it was computer talk.
Yeah.
Very disappointing. Anyway, if anyone out there knows if you can still ask Jeeves, do let us. No, you ask him, and he's quite sullen about the whole Google thing. Drinks a bit more than he ought to. Unshaven. The logo now is him on waste ground with a few other servants.
It's
Would
all
it
at
be
an angle that's hanging off.
Parker from Thunderbirds and Kato, the Green Hornets, all sitting around.
Alfred as well from Batman.
Oh yeah, passing around the. I think if I remember rightly, Jeeves used to drink hair lacquer with fortified wine.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Do you want some Ask Jeeves updates?
Do I?
Because you were asking about Ask Jeeves
I was.
earlier, wondering what had happened to it. Stuart Hack, apparently Jeeves was relieved from duty, not sure why. Some say he purposely answered incorrectly, causing all sorts of mayhem. The service is now simply called Ask.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay.
And Tuppence, a regular contributor to the show, has said, Ask Jeeves has been replaced with Asking Siri, I'm afraid, Frank. I remember a very long link where you were asking Siri about where one could buy a battered Savoy sausage.
Was that
Frank,
live
that's
Siri?
That's such an awful thing
Excellent
to ask
memory.
Siri.
Really? How did he?
I can't remember us doing Radio Gold like that.
I
But
can't remember what Siri came up with for that. But I am.
Can I apologise to Siri on behalf of everyone in this room?
Don't apologise. I find him surly Siri, I call him. Well, that's so. Ask is if I want to ask Jeeves, it's just I suppose because Jeeves was associated with the aristocracy, and that's gone out of fashion.
yeah.
Somewhat.
Not very, though. I mean, they've done well, haven't they, the aristocracy?
Who are they now? Are they
One
sort of
family.
Joey Essex?
yeah.
That's the new aristocracy,
It
isn't
is,
it?
that's the new
Meritocracy. Jeeves, I seem to remember, did he wear spats?
I wouldn't have thought he would. I would have
Well, he
thought
shouldn't be, but it wouldn't surprise me.
wouldn't he?
Bertie might have done.
Frank, the Americans, they don't understand.
As I may have said to you before, I've been recommended P.G. Woodhouse's books on several occasions, and
Never got
Don't
on
you
with
know?
I didn't get on with them at all.
it. Right.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
I'm
fine,
sorry
though, isn't
because
it?
people people told me they were hilarious and I'd love them.
But they are. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, well, it's all opinions.
Now I think we're getting a spat.
We finally
Never.
got some spats. Thank
Not with
goodness.
my Frank.
And 013 has texted. You asked what's the good stuff that people will remember about 2020, and they said the best thing for 2020 is the fact that me and my first wife got back together after 12 years, and my son and her son are both 9 years and get along very well. William the Brazilian, they add.
William the Brazilian.
I think it's Willian,
Oh, okay.
the Brazilian.
Oh, okay. Must be cold, this weather. Well, that's a lovely love story. As a parent, I can't help thinking. You think, oh God, if we get the two kids together, it'll ease things up a bit on the childcare front. They'll keep each other happy. I think that's a lovely story.
Isn't it?
You'd feel less guilty about a Home Alone.
Yeah, it's. I think that's it. I think I'd always like to look on the good side in people and years, and I think this year's going to get terrible. I mean, par exemple, I was doing a bit of last-minute Christmas shopping,
Right.
and it was bitter. Oh, it was absolutely bitter. Not what I was buying. I actually bought a cask of mild.
You see, I don't think December when was this, 10th, let's say, that doesn't count as last minute to me.
I know. Well,
I'm proud of you for being ahead of the curve.
Can I be honest with you? At my age, all shopping is last minute potentially. Anyway, I'm still holding off on the calendar. On the 10th fate. But I was in the street. It was bitter. There was a wind. I was cold, and I thought, I know what I'll do. So I put my mask on, which I had in my pocket for shopping. Much warmer. Last year, I wouldn't have had a mask in my pocket. It's been a great year.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm reading Wurzel Gummidge to my son at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's given me a fabulous chance to the voice, to the Pertwee voice.
I would say reading to children is when I do my most acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Especially because it's sort of voice acting, so you can do stuff that you're not constrained by being typecast in any way, are you?
It's like radio drama because you got the script there and you can saw.
Can I give you a note as a friend? As a child of performers, that was one thing I did struggle with, was the actor putting a little bit too much heart and soul into the child's story. I was very aware of it, like the tiger who came to tea. Just read the story, maybe.
Oh, really? Because when I'm reading to my daughter at the moment, I always think that she's thinking, God, that's so good at all this. That's what I'm thinking all the way through.
No, she's thinking, what an old ham.
Yeah.
I was watching Bob Geldof's documentary on W.B. Yeats this week.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a lot of actors on reading poetry. I think they should be kept separate myself. I found a lot of the time I was going, all right, and they were reading. No need to shout. I like acting. I respect actors. I don't like too much acting. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've been nicer there than you could have the first part with the like acting and like actors, respect them.
How often, how many
do.
times a day do you think Brian Blessed's family say no need to shout?
Yeah.
7?
Yeah. Probably not, because I imagine they all have great wads of cotton wool sticking out their ears.
Do you think they often visit garages and just take the earplugs that are for the staff?
Yeah, those big industrial earplug things. I wonder, can you hear me? Oh, God, it's driving me mad this week. When's Peppa Pig recording again? Get him out the house for a week. Good old Brian, bless it.
Oh, Brian.
So
We've had a lovely... sorry, Frank,
No.
you were talking about people mentioning their high points. Or being
2020.
positive about 2020.
I want by the end, by the time we get to the end of this show, I want people to think, you know what, it's been a great year.
Yeah. Well, always
Good
mute.
luck with that.
Always mute the weirdo on Twitter. I paused, but I think it's all right, isn't
Okay.
it? For me, the part where the air became clearer and cleaner due to nobody going anywhere.
That's true. And birdsong, of course, let us not forget.
Yeah.
A preponderance.
Jimmy White, face masks suit me.
Is that what he said? Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good gag.
Yeah. there
Very
we go.
fine.
Yeah.
See, there's more pluses. I'd forgotten about the air and the birds.
Well, that's been a long time since the 90s, dear.
It has.
Nigel Turner. Sorry, Frank. Our lockdown rescue greyhound Lucky.
Oh, cool. Same dog name.
Oh, yeah.
Snap.
Makes you wonder if he's a rescue dog. Maybe he's misnamed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know, somebody actually said to me they'd got it. This is the first time I heard the term. I'm not making this up for comic purposes. They said, blah, 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 he's a rescue dog. I said, oh, wow, amazing. And we talked for another 30 seconds with me thinking, picturing a St. Bernard with a small barrel of rum dragging a mountaineer, a fallen mountaineer, to civilization. And of course they meant the dog had been rescued.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like my confusion with Animal Hospital. I was all set thinking there'd be animals with scalpels and stuff sellotaped to their paws, doing open heart surgery on screaming human beings because they hadn't quite got in their animal minds. There was no room for anaesthetic as a concept. Oh well. 2021, as I say. Can't follow this baby.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Someone's favourite thing this year, Carol Venselar announcing Christopher Eccleston is returning to Doctor Who. Is that correct?
Is he?
Well, he's returning to Big Finish's audio dramas, Doctor Who. He's not returning to the TV show that we know
Oh,
of.
that's cleared that up.
Well, there's a whole audio world where Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy and Peter Davison and Paul McGann are all still ongoing, and Tom Baker ongoing Doctor Who's. So,
Wow, I must download that.
well, I tell you, I subscribe, and it is.
I thought you might.
It's fabulous. It's really good stuff. Anyway, we put the tree up,
Oh, yeah.
and that was difficult.
Why?
Oh, well, first of all, Kath, my partner, always wants the biggest tree in town. She's obsessed with massive. I would have an
Really?
artificial myself. Seems to be more eco-friendly.
I
Nevertheless,
think the jury's out on that, but yeah.
Yes, I think some people say it is better. I think Kath's right. It is better to have the originale.
well, you have to chop them down though to do that.
Oh, did you have to
You
do
do,
that?
but I think they're specifically grown for that purpose. Okay, so
yeah, but
everyone
you
calm down.
tell that to the Lorax. That's my advice.
But did you have to do some sawing of the bottom to fit it into a stand?
We got a stand and we got
I
the
had
tree.
a terrible hour and a half trying to carve the bottom into almost like a penciled shape with a
Yes,
saw. Oh,
exactly. You have to
man.
have a point. You have
Horrible.
to. You need a sort of Van Helsing point on the
Still
end
getting
of the
over
tree.
it. I'm still getting over it. It was
On me.
exhausting, and I'm what they call a fitness enthusiast.
I know.
And I found it
Well,
exhausting.
think about me.
Did you get this?
You're Harold to my Albert Steptoe.
Did you get the saw out, Frank?
I didn't, but I had to get it into the stand. So I had my sister-in-law holding this tree, and she's a thin, woman. She's not like a big,
big unit.
powerhouse.
No.
So I'm underneath the tree, trying to steer this pointed thing into the small gap.
Oh.
And I was on to the needles were falling down. I could hear
Oh, yeah.
she was struggling with the weight of the tree. I thought it could come. I have done live television, enormous stand-up gigs. I don't think I've ever been more stressed, afraid even, than I was under that tree. It was an alarming. When I got out, I felt like I'd got a bit of flu on me.
Yeah.
I was so shaken up by it. Then, one thing I realised, they come in a sort of sheath now, Christmas
The
trees.
netting
They
ones.
come in the netting, yes.
I've learned, and anyone who's about to put a tree up, here's a little hack for you. Get it up first before you take that netting off.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You see how I changed words there to keep it clean?
Yes, I
What
did.
a professional broadcaster I've become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you try, which I did, I took it off and then I put the tree up. You're not working with the tree, you're working amongst it.
Yeah.
So
that's
you don't
difficult.
disrobe the tree until...
And number one, no, exactly. Get it up with the netting on and then cut the netting and let it. Otherwise, you're handling this forest thing. Pointy, spiky, resentful of having been chopped down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
And
enough.
finally, the mistake, which you could say was an amateur error, is put the star on the top, or whatever you're going to put on the top. Put that on the top before you erect the tree.
Oh, that's clever.
Oh, now, do you know what? That is a good tip. I hadn't
Unless
thought
you've
of
got
that.
some steps in your home. Like
Well,
some,
but you can't. If it's a big tree like this, you can't get the steps close enough. I tell you what I did. I said to Bars, because we had the tree up.
Is yours big in the midfield?
Oh, it's a wide tree. It's a bit like a cedar. It's like that.
Oh.
Anyway, I said to him, "Have you still got that grabber of yours?" And he had one of those plastic, it's like a hand opera. So he went and found it, and I managed to put the star on with that. And
That's
it honestly felt like one of my... I realised it was fixed on there, I don't think I've ever felt prouder. I really felt I'd done something. I'd given up on that star. And
see
then,
the happiness in his little face, can't you?
oh,
Good,
man.
that.
Never give up on your star, Frank.
No. Well, no.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I'm thinking of buying one of those, like a massive sort of pencil sharpener for next year for Christmas, so that I can sharpen the bottom of the tree when we buy, if we buy a real one.
That's a great idea.
It's good, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll manufacture them and sell them.
How did you put the top thing? Do you have a star, angel? What do you go for?
the kids
I don't suppose
decorated
you
it.
go for an angel, do you?
The kids decorated the
Oh,
tree
no.
whilst I was away, so I'm assuming that they used furniture and climbed up and
Oh, okay.
Do you want to know what
no
I
accidents.
have? A sparkly bow.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Okay. thought I'd mix it up a bit.
Do you remember when Harry Kane had his golden boot on the top of the chair? Fantastic. Oh, when I put that star there, I imagined this is what God must have felt like when he placed the stars in the firmament.
Did you?
I don't know if he used one of those grabbers. Speaking of... we should say congratulations to Absolute Radio's Jason Manford, who hosted the Royal Variety Show this week.
Did he?
He did. Huh?
Oh, I didn't watch it.
I think it was to an empty... Because there's been this thing going round. There's a thing going round at the moment.
Yeah.
And so... I must say I've done the Royal Variety twice, and both times I thought if there was one single thing that would improve the experience, it would be to get rid of the audience. So I'm glad someone's finally, actioned that. And I think you'll find they won't bring them back next year, having seen what it's like now. Having seen how much fun it could be without them. I don't know if you remember, but I've been looking for keep it clean, a place to put my pen when I'm writing, because I'm sit and I put the pen and I can't find it anywhere. And I suggested behind the ear, but it wasn't really working.
You don't pucker up and go for the moustache type pen?
Temporarily I can do that, but I can't keep it.
That was a holder.
You favour longhand over the old laptop, do you?
Mainly. I use laptop.
Isn't that lovely?
See, when I started in this crazy whole business,
Sure.
yeah, I didn't have any of that electric stuff, so I wrote all my jokes freehand. So I've stopped with that as a general.
Is that right?
Feels
How
right.
lovely, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I tell you what, I had a COVID test the other day, and I was just chosen randomly by the NHS to be part of their thing. And I had to put this very long thing up my nose, and it says, continue feeding it in until you meet resistance.
Oh.
It said. I don't mean some brunette in a beret.
Talking about the fallen Madonna.
Exactly.
I'll stop that there.
It's not that. I don't have that kind of
Black full-length leather coat.
That's that kind of sinus stuff. But anyway, I fed this tube up, and I just wasn't meeting any resistance. It kept going, and I thought, if I took a wrong turn in here, in a minute, I'm just going to feel it pierce the lower part of my brain.
Weird.
It was really, and I thought I could easily put a pen up here when writing.
Oh, don't do that.
Oh, I could easily. I remember seeing Sylvester McCoy when he was called Sylvester McCoy knock a 6-inch nail up his nose. Don't try it at home, kids.
No.
Or adults.
Was this when he was the doctor, Frank?
Before he was the doctor, he was in alternative theatre.
Was
Sort
he?
of Ken Campbell type of
Was he really?
figure, yeah.
Do you know, that makes a lot of
Frank
sense.
knew.
Yeah.
And pretty amazing. He could knock this 6. I'm thinking now I could do that.
I wonder his hair looked like that.
Yeah, so I got a lot more storage space than I thought I had.
Good to know.
These people who use the Class A drugs, I'd just keep a drinking straw up there all the time, pull it down like an attic ladder when required.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner.
Yeah.
OMG.
Goodness me.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
A couple of things, Frank Skinner.
Uh-huh.
Firstly, Al, I was at the vets recently, and they've taken to calling out the full name of my dog. They attach the surname, and it is a bit strange. They say Raymond Dean.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I thought you meant, you get those dogs on when you see their pedigrees and they say, it's Ray's, it's Raymond Cavalier.
My dog has that.
Oh, what's your dog?
My dog's real name is Lacey Witchetty Moonbeam Goddess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we changed the Lacey to Lucky, and the rest of it we've kept.
You know the thing about well, your porn name involves your first pet.
Yeah.
Be a problem if you took the official.
But do you get that, Al? Or is it just a London, sort of soft London thing? Because when they say, do they say Lucky Cochrane?
Yes, I think they do, yeah.
I find
Do
that.
they really?
Yeah.
And I think you get up, Al, when you hear that instinctively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done the last couple of vets visits, but yes, they...
Lucky Cochrane.
They do go for surname, which I think people have mocked. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that's funny, isn't it?
It is a strange...
Well, what did you have when you and David Baddiel shared an animal? That would have been Chairman Meow Baddiel Skinner.
He was the cat was very much Dave's.
All right.
Chairman Meow Baddiel, he was.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah. I had no part in it. If it had been up to me, etc. ...
Well, I mean, a lot of people say things like, you know, dogs have owners and cats have staff, don't they? That sort of thing. You know,
Oh, yeah.
'cause
What
cats are
staff
a bit-
that? Do you mean that skin
infection.
thing? Yeah. Probably.
Frank, can
No, I
I
was
get you
going
to think about
double F.
something over the next few weeks? Because I'm interested to know some homework for you.
Okay.
If you had a dog, what would you call it? Okay, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'd like you to come back to me with that.
It's a good
Okay.
question, though.
I mean, the kind of thing to give you... I have always very impressed by John Wayne's cat
Oh, what's
in
that?
True Grit. John Wayne played a character called Rooster Cogburn, and his cat was called General Sterling Price.
Yes.
after a military figure who he'd been under in the Civil War, and I always thought that I loved the military
Yeah.
element, the way I like Colonel Sanders.
Well, the Colonel would be a good name for a pet of yours, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I
'Cause,
think
you know,
that. But I'd like.
W.C.
I'd like
Fields. I see you with a cat like that sort of name.
but
Yeah.
Right.
Colonel Harlan Sanders. Be a good name. Good name for a cat. And they love a bit of chicken. They like the chicken bones. You can't give them the dogs too.
No,
They're going through the roof of the mouth.
that's right.
Shall we share this as well, Al? We have had an interesting opposer.
Yeah, we've 398 has texted. I normally would have filtered this out and not read it, but it's interesting in terms of as a concept. Material like this needs something less ephemeral than a radio link. And then quotes, these drug takers, I could keep a straw up my nose and pull it down like some attic ladder, which is a Frank Skinner quote from just,
About 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago, yeah. Someone should tweet it, they add.
So 398 is suggesting that Twitter is a preferable medium.
For your humour.
Yeah, I
Then,
think it's about
radio
permanence, isn't it? I
Right.
used to
You
get
think?
this a lot. I used to do ice sculpting for
Right.
parties.
Yeah.
And I used to turn up like the day before and put the vodka shoot
Yeah, the
on
luge.
a squatting Great Dane. And people would say, oh, it's a bit ephemeral. I mean, it's a complimentary text. I'm not, so thank you for that.
Thanks.
But there's something lovely about. All these shows exist as well on the Absolute Archive.
I mean, I
After
would
all.
just suggest to 398, is philosophy and sort of wisdom better in epithet form on a pub wall, or is it better in a book in a library? Which is best out of those two mediums?
8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
There's a gentleman I'd like to discuss, Frank, this morning. Do you know who that gentleman is?
That's a tough guessing game, isn't it? Give me a clue.
George Clooney!
You
Good
actually
clue.
gave me a Clooney. Surely he should be hosting a game show in
Give
which
us a
he says to
Clooney.
them, do you need a Clooney?
Oh, that's
and
good.
then you get less points or something from that. It'll come.
We use Clooney in our house as a euphemism for the coffee using those machines.
Oh, okay.
So if I say to my wife, do you want a Clooney, it means a posher coffee than do you want a coffee?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
See, he's so versatile.
He's so Clooney.
George.
Yeah, George. He's been
In a bit of trouble. No, he hasn't. He hasn't. It would be a terrible way to break the news that he'd been in trouble on. Absolutely, he hasn't.
He's been getting a lot of media real estate over the last couple of weeks.
He must have a film out.
Yeah.
He has, Frank.
Fair enough.
He plays a post-apocalyptic survivor in this film called Midnight Sky, I believe it's called.
Oh, it seems apt, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He plays an Arctic scientist living on a deserted observatory.
Beard?
What do you think?
I don't know what the idea is in films. If you go to the Arctic, you can't take your shaving tackle with you. You have to grow a beard if you're there.
Well,
I've not been to the Arctic.
He was filming on...
You look like you have, mate.
You look like you've been nowhere else.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was in Finland they were filming.
Okay. And he did this thing, didn't he, that actors think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And that is sudden weight change.
Oh,
Yeah.
the loss of weight for a role
Or gain.
is surely
Who was the
the
most
acting
famous?
cliche.
Christian Bale. He lost 4 stone, I think, or 5 stone.
Bobby De Niro put a bit on to play
Raging Bull, wasn't
Raging
it?
Bull, yeah.
Yeah, that for me is when
Pasta and ice cream.
I first became aware, because I think he put it on and lost it, and
Yeah.
I don't know that he was known as a great actor until he lost weight and then gained it, and people thought, yes, truly. Can't they? If you're a great actor, couldn't you act thinner than you are?
That would be great.
That's the test, isn't it?
That would be really good.
And then, of course, Marlon Brando just ate cake because he liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't do it for the
And
role.
then took roles to fit accordingly, didn't he?
That's a much better approach, Al.
I think
Yeah.
on Superman, he complained to the director, having seen some of the rushes, that he looked fat. Which is that must have been an awkward conversation. What do you respond to that?
Frank, do you think Marlon might have been, dare I say it?
A bit of a git.
I think he was tricky.
Do you think that the director said, well, the camera gains £10 at least, and that's where that cliche came about?
Oh, maybe. Maybe, yeah. It was also that film. He was in the high-paid actor chair for a while,
definitely.
wasn't he? Because it was quite a
Really
small
was,
role. He's
yeah.
Jor-El in Superman.
I mean, talking of chairs, of course, DDL
Daniel
is
Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day.
he's in the method chair because he did...
Yeah.
Well, he once, when he was playing Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah.
he would only talk to people as Abraham Lincoln, wouldn't he? He texted
He
Sally
did a lot
Field and
of
said,
that.
"Yours A. dot."
Yeah. I don't know if you can stay in character as Abraham Lincoln and text people. How do you do that? Has he got the old... it's all in the hat, all the working out is in the
Yeah.
stovepipe.
Yeah.
It's a great film, that. And he's amazing.
I'm an hour into it still.
Am you? Oh, no, am you? Sorry, I went back to the
That
West
was-
Midlands there for a
Oh,
second.
it's so cute.
You're awesome. Oh, I love it. Boston.
Oh.
Yes. Abraham Lincoln review there. Get rid of the guy with the 1950s. What's he called?
Mark Kermode.
Yeah. Get some black country people on there talking about films. It's one of them Arctic explorers, with a big beard. Oh, God cold out there. That's what I'd love it. Sorry for all the people who don't know what I'm talking about. It's going to be all right. I won't do it again. Relax. They're so touchy, these people. Have we had any answers to your question about the permanence of philosophy?
No.
So that's a slow morning.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We're discussing George Clooney.
Give us a Clooney.
And so this role that he did, he was Midnight Sky. He was filming in Finland.
Never been.
No, I
No,
haven't
me
been.
neither.
So we don't know
Frank
that
and
it
I,
exists for certain.
We don't. No, we don't have what I
No.
think they call hard data on that.
No.
First-person evidence. You're a history fan, aren't you?
It's interesting because I believe in God,
Yeah.
right?
No
so
hard
there's
data
more
there.
people
So
here.
what you suggesting?
There's more people here. I mean, my opinion is more valid than my view that Finland exists because I got no evidence from the people around me.
no.
There you go. Science, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that the
I'm not
is that the
sure.
home of Santa, Finland?
No, that's Lapland, isn't it?
But isn't that where isn't Lapland in Finland?
No, Lapland, I think.
Is it an actual country?
I think Lapland is a club on Broad Street in Birmingham, if I remember rightly. But we won't go into that. Or if we do, we'll certainly be wearing our mask.
Anyway, George Clooney has said recently in interviews to promote the film that he lost so much weight during the filming of this. He developed pancreatitis.
Yeah.
What is that?
And he was
Bad
rushed to hospital.
Okay.
There's problems with your pancreas. And he got very sick as a result of the dramatic weight loss.
And all because he wanted to join those cool actors that do the dramatic weight loss, which isn't his shtick, is it?
No, not at all.
His shtick is always playing a handsome man with a charming voice.
He's Ocean's. He's the gangster, the cool guy in the nice suit.
He's the bridge between us and actors rather than being an actor. He's sort of, he's a bit front of cloth.
You think?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I don't think people go, oh, he's an amazing actor, George Clooney.
No.
I think, oh, I like George Clooney.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
And as Des O'Connor said to me, the late Des O'Connor said to me once, Frank, the thing is people like you. And he said, he said, I can't really sing. I'm not a great comic. He said, but people like me. I thought, what's the comparison that's going on here? Anyway.
Is he a bit underrated in the Hugh Grant, who I think's in my top 3 actors, Hugh Grant? Very underrated. Fabulous actor.
Yeah, I think he's great at acting.
Fabulous man.
I'd be happy to never hear him speak as himself ever again for the rest of my life.
I won't have a word against the man, I adore him.
But I think he's great at acting.
I have no strong opinion on him. So, there we have.
I feel
there we have
a very
fabulous-
strong love.
Oh, good.
But I would say with George...
Actually, I liked him in Paddington too.
Oh, he's
Oh, he's
great
good in that. He's really good in that.
What's her name? Anne Hathaway.
Oh, yes.
She, when she was in Les Miserables, I do remember she also went on a very extreme diet.
Did she?
Oh yeah,
Never.
they had to look Les Miserables.
Oh, yeah.
And
She was
I remember
pretty
reading.
slender anyway, wasn't she?
Wow. I remember reading that all she ate was lettuce and oatmeal paste.
Ooh.
Come on.
I'm not a fan of lettuce. I think I'd be all right with that. Do you have to have the lettuce?
Oatmeal paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, I think the idea is
That sounds
you
awful.
can keep a smear of it on your forearm and have a bit whenever you feel peckish. I think you just hold up a sort of Talisa pose and just lick a little bit off. It's fabulous if you're about the town. You don't have time to stop and
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it with lemon curd.
Oh.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
What about when Jamie Foxx played Ray Charles and he glued his eyes together for 14 hours a day?
He did what?
He never did.
He did, Frank.
He glued his eyes together.
He glued his eyes together for 14 hours a day. Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles.
I mean, I manage about 30 seconds when my conjunctivitis has sealed my eyes shut first thing in the day, and then I knock it all off and get on with my day. But
Disgusting.
Yeah, I went blind for about an hour and a half during my heavier drinking days. But it's not really breakfast radio chit-chat.
No.
Let's face it. I think that seems wrong to me.
yeah.
What, of JF?
Well, I don't quite get... I don't want to get into all this, but you know what I mean.
I think
If
we
you
do.
were going to play Othello, you would of
Yeah.
course have a person of colour. If you could argue it should be a blind person playing Ray Charles on the same
that's it.
argument.
Yeah.
And Falstaff
Yeah.
should be a fat bloke.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to wear a fat suit to play Falstaff.
You don't think so?
Ugly people,
You've got very strict rules about this.
cast
Frank,
ugly people as ugly people. Don't put glasses on them and a woolly hat like they did
Oh,
with
they do
Rocky's wife. We could all see she was lovely.
Or,
Or,
Eileen Wernos is the famous example of that.
Plain
Was she the
Jane.
girl from... who was the
No,
one
I'm
who
afraid
was...
she was a killer.
Who was the girl in the
really?
fashion industry programme who was played
Ugly
was her
Betty.
thing. Ugly Betty, who without the glasses and the hair pulled back was perfectly
I
attractive.
think we're all overlooking Plain Jane from Neighbours, who became dramatically
Playing a
beautiful.
school in Erinsborough, Plain
Yeah.
Jane Superbrain.
Exactly.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Great shout
But
out.
if we're going to,
Frank, I love the way you defend the ugly.
well, you can see I have got a very firm foot in the door of that. But, I mean, I was in a radio play where David Tennant played a Brommy. Why not get plenty of Brommies about?
Yeah, one of them that says, "Am ya?" Like,
Yeah, exactly. Did I tell you when I did a sitcom called Blue Heaven, what I wrote? Mm-hmm. And
I remember. Was your friend Con in that?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that was where I met him. And anyway, I was talking to the director, who was a Londoner, and he said to me, "So we need to have people from London and that." I said, "Well, it's set in the West Midlands. It could be like one person, but I never knew anyone. Well, there was one barman who was from Dunstable, who we used to call Cockney Jerry." Because we thought that made you a Cockney. I said, "But man, it's got to be, people from my area. That's how I want it to be." He said, "We can't have it. People say yom all the time. Everyone will switch off."
Oh, that's so rude to say that to your face.
I know. I should have said it behind my back. What kind of a director was it that he said things directly to my face?
yeah.
But anyway, Clooney, I mean, what's wrong with the Shatner approach of just get a corset for the comeback?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Did Shatner go corset?
He went corset in the movies.
I
and
love
looked great. He went
Shatner.
corset and
It's funny.
toupee. It's great. He went to a fancy dress party as his younger self, essentially. We can always learn from Shatner.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were discussing Emily.
We were talking about George Clooney.
Exactly, and
His dramatic weight loss.
his dramatic weight loss.
I have a question. Do you think actors that do this stuff, either dramatic weight gain or dramatic weight loss, miss their old clothes? Do you think they have like a nostalgia for them? Because I've done a month at the Edinburgh Festival several times, and you take a big suitcase, but then when you get back home, there's "Oh, I've got all these here."
Oh yeah, that is nice.
And it's
when you
fun.
get back from holiday, even.
Yeah.
and there's your clothes you didn't take.
Do you think George Clooney's like, "Oh, I've got all my George Clooney at 75 kilos clothes at home. This is going to be brilliant."
yeah.
I imagine
Back
that people that go to the Edinburgh Festival, when they get back, think that about their wives and partners as well. Anyway, here's a question for you.
Go on.
Why did Adele get criticised for losing weight, but actors are roundly praised?
Roundly, great use of roundly. Frank Skinner.
Less roundly than he was praised.
Frank's, I mean, this is what he gets the big bucks for.
Yeah.
Well, discuss.
I think it's because Adele wanted to get thinner, whereas they were doing it because they were being paid to, so that's somehow more creditworthy.
Yeah.
I don't share this logic, but I think that is the logic.
Okay.
I think Al's right.
And one more question. I interviewed the
Columbo today.
I interviewed
More question.
just one. My wife's a big fan of yours.
By the way, on the subject of pet names, his dog was called Dog, wasn't it?
Was he? I
believe
forgot.
so.
Oh, I
When
think you might be
Colombo
right.
said just one more question, I mean, if I was the murderer, I'd think, oh, well, that's where he nails me. I'm not going to answer that. Like, if Colombo said just one more question, I'd say, no, not today, thank you, and shut the door, because that way I know he's got me.
If I was the murderer, I'd think, well, I'm doomed anyway, because the audience saw me do the murder before Colombo even appeared. So that's slightly... Whoever had that idea, let's do a whodunit, but let's show a whodunit right at the beginning.
Let's make it a why done it.
It's a brilliant idea.
Good shout.
A why done it is great. Or how done it?
So anyway, I was interviewing the country music legend Kenny Rogers, and he was telling me, this is when I had a chat show,
Amazing, though.
He was the one, I spoke about it. He had a fast food outlet called Kenny Rogers Roosters. And it was my job to tell him of the usage in the United Kingdom. Nevertheless, Kenny Rogers said to me that for Christmas, he gave his friends liposuction vouchers.
Why aren't I his friend?
And I said, you've really got to be confident to do that. I respect you for that. Now, liposuction, I don't hear talked about anymore.
No.
Is that gone out? Has that been outlawed? Have they found something wrong with it?
It's still, I believe it still goes on.
For those of you who don't know, I mean, people literally, I'm simplifying the process. If you've got like a big belly, like I'm maybe half a stone over at the moment, I just stick a pipe in and it draws it out.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was into the lips to make them bigger.
No.
Oh, I've made
That's
a terrible
collagen you're thinking
Oh,
of.
is it?
Frank knows his way around the surgery.
Yeah, he's got a glossary over at that side of the desk.
Here's what it is. Liposuction, Frank's absolutely right. That's sucking the fat out.
Sorry if anyone's having bacon.
Their fat
sausage.
sucked out currently.
Yeah.
Making me hungry, this chap.
Usually the saddlebag area,
Oh, right.
the thigh, the stomach, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then collagen, which you talk about, lip enhancement.
Oh, yeah.
That is having injections in.
That's very alive and
filler,
well in the young
yes.
people now.
Oh, they love that.
But it's not anything liposuction. It does still go on, Frank.
Yeah, but wouldn't it have been easier for George Clooney to just, get the tube in and say, take 2 stone off, and I'll have a cup of tea and a biscuit while it's happening.
And then get it back in later. When
then just put it in the fridge.
Bit like a cyclist
Put
with
it
their
in
own
the fridge
blood.
with the GC written on it.
Yeah.
That could confuse things. That could cause a problem, couldn't it, later down the line?
Don't mix up the samples.
And I'll pick it up for the next movie
Brilliant.
when I'm playing Pavarotti. And can I get cash back? Because I'll need another couple of stones to play him. It could all be done. They haven't thought it through. Why? Sir Laurence Olivier said to Dustin Hoffman, have you tried acting? That's the way forward.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. How's it been today? If we take deluge as one end and trickle at the other, how's the texting been?
Steady flow,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say, probably.
Steady flow. That's that
Tony
mate to
Cooper.
my mother's. Hold on. Follow the show on
Sorry.
Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. My fault. I digressed.
No, you know what? I interrupted, and for that I
No.
apologise. But listen, let's move on to the subject of Tony Cooper, who's got in touch, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Surely the most extreme body change by any actor.
Mm-hmm.
A quick hyphenated piece of content here. We're discussing this morning George Clooney's weight loss.
Yes, he's done one of those things that actors do when they want to be taken seriously.
Well, I think it's because it's an actor, it's got to be described as dramatic weight loss.
Ah, very good.
See what I've done there?
Yeah.
Well, he's gone the full DDL.
Oh, yeah.
He's the king. He's in this chair, isn't he?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
I don't know, has he ever done the weight loss thing? He doesn't he go
Of
and
course
try...
he has. Last of
trains
the
to be a-
Mohicans, and then I believe, what was the film In the Name of the Father, was it? I know
Did you fell the ball, son? Did you fell the ball? You remember that?
he was in. He
Weird
spent
thing
2
to
days
say.
in prison,
Did
having
he?
no food or water.
He's very extreme. I believe
Yeah.
he gained 1 foot 3 inches to play Lincoln.
Well, Tony Cooper says the most extreme,
2 of Tony Cooper's close friends get to call him TC.
providing it's with dignity.
Okay.
The most extreme body change by any actor is Chris Evans in the first Captain America film.
Yes, but that...
He even gains 2 foot in height.
Yes, I think...
What is that?
I think
It's a CGI
that's a
thing.
CGI.
Oh, does he?
Because, yeah,
Have they made him taller?
no, he's built like me, to start off with, and he's the
see.
classic guy who gets sand kicked in his face, and he only just about gets into the army for his bravery because he keeps failing the fitness test, and then they think this would be a good bloke to do a massive experiment on.
Right.
Is that I didn't know his backstory, CA.
Yeah, so then he turns into a super strong and totally ripped Captain America.
Brilliant.
So it's what you were hoping, in a way, the narrative arc of Captain America.
I know where you're
is what
going.
you were hoping when you got the Charles Atlas.
The Charles Atlas course, exactly. That's what I thought would happen. I mean, I didn't expect it to be as quick as it was for Cap,
No.
but it didn't happen at all.
I find that
for
very
me.
touching.
I wonder when was the point in my life when I just thought, oh, I'll stick with this.
Yeah.
I'll stick with this. I've got a sort of a Treasure Island physique, the sunken chest.
Oh,
And I just sort of thought, it'd be all right now.
you developed the brilliant mind.
I think celebrity made me think, well, I don't need to look good
Yeah.
anymore. That was one of my things.
Ah.
Yeah, anyway,
George Clooney has been in the news for other reasons. He said in an interview that he's never had an argument with his wife Amal.
It's like you, Frank.
yeah, very similar to our house.
And he said, we haven't ever had an argument. Everybody's been slammed together because of the coronavirus, and a lot of friends' relationships have been tested. For us, it's been really easy.
No.
Now that's the George Clooney we've come to know and love, not the losing 3 stone guy.
Yeah.
The guy who you think, what a sweet man. What I would say about that, speaking as a recovering alcoholic, I find that weirdly, if you say at a party, have you got anything that's non-alcoholic, just orange juice or something, they immediately think, alcoholic, obviously,
Right.
because you're not
Yeah.
drinking alcohol, which is weird. By the same thing, if someone says to me, we never argue, I think there is something severely wrong with their relationship.
Can I say I 100% agree?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I am one of the, if there's no pearl, if there's no friction, that's my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've found it traumatic.
Someone somewhere is, I'm just saying, stuff's not coming out. And when stuff doesn't come
They're
out,
giving in.
Yeah.
they're giving it.
I mean, if you're married to a lawyer, you might be. I can see you being careful. But even so, come on, George.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I would just like to say to George Clooney and Amal that I think my wife and
Did you
I...
say in a mall?
in a mall.
Okay.
No, my wife and I don't argue very much. So we're closer to that end of the spectrum than the couples that fight all the time. But even then, I would never say in an interview, we found it really easy about being locked down together.
No.
It's
Yeah.
almost like it's quite difficult. Like, one of the things that we sometimes have conflict about is things like, Alan, you've left all your shoes in the hall. There's 10 pairs of Adidas, or that could have gone straight in the dishwasher. But I'm guessing that they're insulated from those rows by having a massive home and staff.
I
Yeah.
believe.
They say money can't buy you happiness, but I think it sort of insulates you against a certain amount of
No,
unhappiness.
I can see that.
I believe marriage guidance counsellors or therapists suggest that it's preferable to have at least one row a week. Some sort of spat. When I say row,
Just gonna put
I
that in a
don't mean,
schedule.
because it shows it's about airing. It's an opportunity to air your issues, so you
Right.
don't become avoidant.
Well,
No one wants to be avoidant.
We tried couple counselling at one of our lowest ebbs, and he said,
I love the way this shows.
he said you get 2 minutes. We should have 2 minutes each, and you should give your point of view about something. And the other person cannot interrupt for 2 minutes. That's your. And then when the 2 minutes is up, you're sitting there with a chess clock.
Right.
And when the 2 minutes is up, then they can respond. So they don't interrupt you and get you a chance. So we tried it. So my method was to say something very controversial for about 15 seconds and then enjoy the silence. Whoa, that didn't last long, I'll tell you that. It was great while it did. Look, it might be. You know. I mean, I remember a Catholic priest once saying in his homily that it's all right talking about, you know, how arguing is a natural thing and that, but if you keep knocking nails into the same gatepost, eventually it'll disintegrate.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And you know, I can see there's a bit of that involved.
I mean,
George-
maybe George is doing it right. I mean, it seems to be working for them, although how she puts up with the pranks, because you know he's a bit like you, Frank, George Clooney.
Prankster.
Well, people often say that.
He likes a gittish prank.
Yeah, I'm only aware of this since you brought up one of his things recently.
He gave the £1 million to the friend. Well, this was my favourite one. Is even better. He found a really horrible painting of a naked woman in a skip. And it was so disgusting, he was sort of laughing.
Oh,
it
it was
so
the
kitsch.
painting in the skip?
Yes.
Or was it a photo of a naked woman in a skip?
No.
'Cause
The
that-
painting was in the
Something
skip.
dark about that
No.
composition.
He found a discarded
Okay.
portrait in a skip. And it was so disgusting, he and his friend were laughing. And he said, look, we'll have to take that. It's funny.
That's
Clu-
great, because sometimes I see people fishing things out of a
Yes.
skip, and I always shout, "Skip rat!"
Paul
Like, from the other side
McCartney's
of the street.
a skip rat.
I'm a skip rat,
Yeah,
but I like to
of
call
course
other
you
people
are.
it.
Yeah, but imagine if you're driving down the road, you see a bloke looking in a skip, and you think, hold on a minute, is that George Clooney?
Yeah, you wouldn't think if you were shouting
Do
skip
you want to know
rat.
what he did? He takes the painting home and he then decides he's going to give it as a friend's 40th.
Oh, that's
He's
cool.
going to present it to them and say he's painted it himself. And he spent the whole year working on this.
Wow.
He presents it in front of everyone at the 40th. It's disgusting, and the friend's too embarrassed. And he says, "But you know what would really." I just, the idea of you having this on your wall, it would mean so much to me if you'd honour it. This man kept it on his wall for 6 years.
Oh, dear.
Until Clooney fessed up it wasn't his.
Wow. What worries me about that isn't that pointing out that because I'm George Clooney, my so-called friends actually creep around me and will humiliate and take anything in order
Yeah.
to remain my friend.
Yeah.
But then,
Just give me the £1 million, George, if you want proof of that. Now we're getting the dark side of Clooney.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you, is this harsh? I would say that George Clooney was one of the 7 items or less stars.
do you want to just recap for
That's a good
non-regulars
point.
on your 7 items?
7
or less?
people
We
who've
haven't
done
mentioned this
less
for a while,
than
have we?
7 notable things in their career.
Good shout.
I would say Ocean's 11, Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Then aren't you struggling a bit there?
Gravity.
Gravity's it's a good film.
That film brought me down.
Coffee adverts.
An espresso.
ER.
Yeah.
There's an espresso in his body
ER,
of work.
we've gone right back to ER. Fairly quickly, actually.
Of course, if we were on BRMB now, the West Midlands radio, I'd say you must be a very giving bloke because he was in ER.
Right.
Because you'd say, ER.
Yeah.
You see, I
Used
would
to be
say...
a very saucy joke about the Queen. with
Yes, I
ER.
remember that, Jim.
Yes, anyway.
What I would say, Frank, is also he did sit in the best-looking man
Yes.
chair, now, which I never got, and
You didn't get it? Oh,
tell
I
you
got
what,
it.
I hope you're happy together. But he looked to me a bit. He just looked a bit like he just looked a bit like he was outside a North London school waiting for his kid with a leather jacket. Worked in the music industry, was a lawyer.
But I
Right.
think people like that, don't
Yeah, I
they? He's
think so.
very
Not me.
unchallenging.
Yeah, not me.
I don't, you feel you'd be safe with George Clooney. Well, he
Yeah.
never even argues, for
Well,
goodness sake.
Well, I'm finding him a
Okay.
bit of a challenge to continue to like him. I'll be honest. Yeah.
Why is that? Oh.
Well, he also added, after he said that it's been really easy in lockdown to be stuck together, he said, George went on to add that the pair, as in him and Amal, the pair's united passion for philanthropy and humanitarian causes has kept them grounded and made their relationship strong.
Well, now hold on. I mean, obviously that's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, if you want to interpret it that way, yeah.
What I feel sorry for.
I mean, I've crossed them off my dinner party list just reading that. I
dear.
don't know if you guys have.
I think it's good that they do a good thing. I know what you... I mean, if I was a career activist, I might feel like a career children's author. All these, everyone's an actor. I think, look at Swampy. He must have thought, I've given my life to this. And now you look on Twitter, everyone, comedian and activist, actor and activist.
But you know, Swampy, first through the door. If you're the first through the door.
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
But those people, and there's plenty of them about, they are activists. That's what they do.
Yes, this is true.
So they must hate the celebs who do a little bit of activism at the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it's activism with the blow dry, isn't it? You know?
Sorry, you're just going to give me a second. I'm so anxious about that. So anxious. Whoa. God, that sounded like a Hillary Clinton quote. Frightened the death out of me. Oh, man.
Oh, you're making the table shake.
I know, sorry, but that's my heart's pounding.
I can't even mention a blow dry.
No. I think he was raised a Catholic as well, and
Oh,
then
that
he
must
faded.
mean you like him.
No,
does
he
it?
faded.
Oh, is he lapsed up to the eyeballs?
I read the thing. He said he's not sure. He said he doesn't believe in hell. It's one of the things he said. I thought, well, you've only been married 6 years, mate.
1974 when you face it.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can I just say we've got quite a few people texting in with work of George Clooney's that they admire. So I think some people don't see him in the 7
Are we
items.
past 7? Have we passed? Has he scored higher than 7?
I think some people do, yeah.
Okay.
073 says, "Hi Frank, the best film GC did was The American, which I saw fairly recently and really liked. I thought that was very good.
I don't know that.
And I got a little bit of envy because at some point in it he does a forward fold. He's obviously a yoga guy, and I'm currently working on my forward fold.
What is a forward fold?
Basically like touching your toes, or grabbing your feet.
I can't
if
do
you're
that.
sat down on the floor, kind of thing.
I like the idea of him adopting the JC moniker.
That would be good,
though.
wouldn't it? But
Imagine him
could
saying,
lead to a terrible
"I'll tell you what,
clerical error.
someone makes you a cup of tea. That's like giving him £1,000.
Well, look, I got nothing against the GC, the Clooney person. I think he seems...
Oh, I do. About that bit about the
person.
philanthropy and humanitarian causes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Come on, mate. It's Christmas.
That's what I've got against
Well,
it.
here's something that I don't know if you're aware of this,
Yeah.
but I think, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but he went out with, this will win you over, Al.
Oh, yeah.
on.
He went out with a WWF wrestler. Do you remember that?
Fair
He
play.
didn't.
He did. Yeah. That
Which
was what,
one? Hulk Hogan?
No, I think it was a bit conventional. It was a lady wrestler. But yeah, she
Fair
proper. I can't remember what her name was. I don't really follow the wrestling, but I remember reading about their relationship.
Well, they're very... When you go to Lake Como, yes, I've been...
Have you?
Yeah, they're very protective. There's all police around where he lives.
Oh,
And you're not allowed. Apparently, they warn you if you ask, where does George Clooney live? It won't end well for you. Can't even ask the question.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Okay? Yeah, they protect him.
Oh.
If you went out with a wrestler, WWF wrestler, you'd have
Not gonna happen.
you'd have your doubts, wouldn't you, in the bedroom department?
Yeah.
You'd never be completely convinced. She's lovely.
If I had to go out with a wrestler, I'd go out with The Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, not that far off these days.
I believe
I think-
IRL, in real life, The Undertaker is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Wow.
Bit of...
I'd go
Bit of
out
detail.
with Mr. TV Jackie Pallo. 19.
I tell you who I did like. There was a yuppie wrestler, Frank, Erwin R. Shyster. Do you remember him?
Oh,
Yes.
there was
A
one.
yuppie?
Yeah,
I
yuppie.
haven't heard the term yuppie for quite a long time.
Because it was a
This is-
90s wrestler, and he was
Excellent.
known as the yuppie wrestler because he had a sort of briefcase.
Well, I used to go to wrestling at.
Really enjoying the use of yuppie.
I used to go to Thimble Mill Bats in Smethwick to watch wrestling.
Me too.
And there was. And there was a wrestler called Lord Bertie Topham who would come in with a bowler hat, a silk thing, and a monocle, and he'd have
Like the Pringle man.
he'd have a bottler, It was a precursor of Ask Jeeves. A bottler he'd have his water on a tray.
Brilliant.
And I've never seen any wrestler get the crowd going. He'd come in and he'd go, "Can I smell working class people?" And they would be absolutely outraged. Absolutely. And they'd scream at him and he'd say, "What are you saying in your common tongue?" And he was probably from where we were from, but he played that, and people would be
Very good.
furious with him. Absolutely
I
furious.
like the sound of this man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And that man was Boris Johnson.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Oh.
Somebody has actually taken the time to send you an email entitled Clooney's Decent Work and then a list.
Have I been hard on George?
I think you might
Yeah,
have.
we have been quite
They
awful.
say, Hail Caesar, Gravity. Surely that's Clooney's
So
Descent work.
that was just a Roman greeting Frank.
Hail Caesar, I don't know. Gravity, I acknowledge, is a brilliant film.
The Descendants, The American, Burn After Reading, Michael Clayton, Good Night and Good Luck, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Three
That was a
Kings,
great film,
The
Good
Thin
Night and
Red
Good Luck.
Line, Out
Okay.
of Sight, From
Okay.
Dusk Till Dawn, and
Okay.
ER. There you go.
ER.
That's more than 7.
All right, ER. Here's my apology. Okay, I've done him wrong. I mean, the truth is, I don't really watch films very much.
Did you ever watch ER?
They're a commitment, aren't they?
Well, it's
They're
just-
like 2 hours.
If they don't have aliens in them,
You're out.
das ist nicht für mich.
You and I have the opposite. You see, I'm watching a film as soon as I see like aliens. That off.
We're all different, darling.
Off. And
We've been talking about
sharing
acting
a studio
so long
with
that-
Derek Jacobi.
Oh, I watched a fabulous interview with Derek Jacobi.
Did you?
That's one of the things I do on the internet is find interviews with old actors. And
I
say,
love
well,
Jack
Larry, I was
Blair.
calling to Lord Olivier's office and he said, "What have you been up to?"
That's a good thing to do with your time on YouTube. That's,
Oh, it's brilliant. I could listen to them old actors talking.
you know, I watch
Great.
really boring stuff on YouTube. Like
There's a woman
people
who'd
showing
been-
you around their lorry.
I think a woman...
So they show you the dirty, cuddly toy on the grill.
I watched one and he was
Michelin
showing
Man.
you the drawer that he had the kettle in, and I've got a little. I
Do you
plug
watch
it
that
in.
then?
I don't know. It just suggests it to
Derek
me.
Jacobi didn't do any of that.
I'm
No.
sure.
And I watched Twins: The New Trend, the two boys who listen to music.
Oh, yes.
Phil
Oh,
Collins
that's
boys.
nice. I also watch bullies getting owned quite a lot as well. That can be fun.
Bullies
What's
get
that
owned.
bully special prize, Jim Bowen?
It's when bullies bully someone that it turns out is actually like a high
Oh.
school wrestler, and then the bully becomes upside down, thrown on the floor. It's excellent.
There's
It's
a
a
very-
really good way of spending an afternoon.
There's a very good one of a guy knocking on someone's door.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And being and this
Of course.
and he's got all his mates around to watch him humiliate this bloke who lives in the house, and this bloke hits him really hard, and not only does it knock him over, but he gets up and runs away. So it's very satisfying. But we shouldn't. Can I say we don't champion violence on Absolute Radio? Dear me, no. But if it's gonna be, that's the way around. You want it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I fought the school bully, I remember, at junior school and beat him. It's a really great moment.
Punch the mirror.
Yeah. And then I would say 15 years later, I saw him in a pub. And he had grown proportionally to what he was at the time. He was much bigger than me, and I thought he won't remember. It's been years ago. And he said, "Oh no, you don't know." and I'd say the third thing he said to me was, "You beat me in a fight, didn't you?" And I thought, "Oh no, I don't want to go." But luckily, he was very foolish, and so I was able to manipulate him with my intellect.
Excellent.
Yes, I see. I can see that.
But he was a frightening prospect. He, I wouldn't have fancied, never come back.
Rematch.
No, I wouldn't have fancied
You don't
a
want a
rematch.
rematch.
No, at the time I was young and angry, with him. But that's all. I haven't been angry since the 80s. So,
That's lovely to know.
yes. What else?
Well,
One,
I would.
108 has made a suggestion. If I had a dog, I'd call it Ask It. So when people ask me his name, I'd say Ask It, and then they would. That's from Neil in Birmingham. It strikes me as quite a Birmingham joke, that.
Yeah.
And we've also had 318 Vet here, recalling out pets' names and surname. It's absolutely what we do. It stops people waiting, getting confused which Ben or Jess we mean.
Also, Jess.
But we do get some really brilliant combos, e.g. Prince John's and a particular favourite, a rabbit named Floppy. I won't finish that. But that's from Hamish in
Mr.
Kent.
and Mrs. Discs.
Yes,
Dog.
yes, that's exactly what it was. That's from Hannah the vet in Kent.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a pub next to where I used to live, big pub, the Queen's Head, and they closed the pub down, which is a major shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a 24-hour vet. Can you believe that people want that more than they want a pub?
Yes.
I'm
nowadays?
amazed.
The idea is
You sound rather devastated.
But then, if your pet was injured, what you'd do, have a couple of drinks, you got the courage to deal with it yourself. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to us this morning. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.